Hello, today we're looking in the informative literary analytical writing packet, and we're going to look at essential question number 4. What kind of organization could be used in this form of writing? As well as number 5, what kind of voice is most effective in this form of writing? We're in the organization section today of the Learning Target packet, and we're going to take a few new notes. In the organization section of the packet, we're looking at Learning target number 4 or 5, to use appropriate transitions to create cohesion in your sentences to clarify the relationships of your ideas. We've talked about transitions for a while, and we've talked about how sometimes if you use the wrong transitional word between sentences, you're going to create confusion within the ideas present. Rather than make clarity between your sentences, you're going to actually confuse your reader, and they're not going to understand what you mean between the two sentences and the ideas present in those sentences. So therefore, we need to use proper transitions so that we're joining our sentences together with words that create bridges, but that we're also using the proper word so that our reader has absolutely no idea or has an idea of what we're talking about rather than doesn't have an idea of what we're talking about. There are 3 specific common relationships that we make between sentences. The first is cause and effect. So the cause and effect relationship includes using words such as because, so, therefore, as a result, when you're looking at a sentence with an idea present here, and then the idea in the next sentence shows an effect or a cause for the previous sentence. So if you have a cause-effect relationship between your sentence, you want to use one of these transitional word components to connect those sentences together clearly and effectively. Compare contrast is another type of transitional component we use to connect our ideas in our sentences. Some of the words we use for compare and contrast could be but and however, but it could also be likewise, because but and however would show a contrast between the ideas in the first sentence versus the ideas in the second. But the word likewise would show a comparison. In other words, it's a similarity between the two sentences. So those are different transitional words that you can use to introduce a sentence that's following a previous one that shows contrast or similarity. The final way that we add information within our sentences and connect them more fully is by just giving an addition of information, sort of like chronologically. And so this is adding another detail to the previous thought. In that case, you have words like next, and, first, second, then. All of these types of transitional components would be just adding an additional detail onto the previous sentence's information. So let's look at making sure that we're making transitions that are in fact clear and create cohesion in our sentences with a multiple choice practice. Read the sentences from a student's science report about Earth. Daytime means basically being somewhere on the Earth that faces the sun, while nighttime means being somewhere on the Earth that faces away from the sun. The Earth spins on its axis. We can think of this as most points on the planet constantly in motion toward the sun, away from the sun, toward the sun, away from the sun. It is this rotation that causes the constant cycle we call day and night. Which revision that combines sentences 2 and 3 best shows the relationship among their ideas? Is it A, the Earth spins on its axis, and some people could think most points on the planet constantly move toward the sun, away from the sun, toward the sun, away from the sun? Is it B, because the Earth spins on its axis, we can think of most points on the planet as constantly in motion toward the sun, away from the sun, toward the sun, away from the sun? Is it C, although the Earth spins on its axis, we can think of most points on the planet constantly in motion toward the sun, away from the sun, toward the sun, away from the sun? Or is it D, the Earth spins on its axis, but some people think most points on the planet constantly move toward the sun, away from the sun, toward the sun, away from the sun? Let me zoom out so you can get a picture of all of them. So which revision combines sentence 2 and 3 best to show the relationship among the ideas? In this case, the correct answer is B. Here's why. Because obviously tells us that this particular question or this particular connection between the sentences is a cause and effect. Within this first example, they're using the addition of information. Within this example, we're showing a compare-contrast. In this one, although not leading with a compare-contrast term, uses compare and contrast later. So we need to double check the ideas present within the sentences with the choice that we are saying obviously is the correct. So obviously when we go back to the passage, we should see a cause-effect relationship within the two sentences that they're joining here. And they said it sentence 2 and 3. So sentence 2 reads, the earth spins on its axis. Sentence 3 says, we can think of this as most points on the planet constantly in motion toward the sun, away from the sun, toward the sun, away from the sun. If we look at this repetitive words here, toward, away, what they're doing here is giving us an effect of the earth spinning on the axis. So this is the cause, the earth spins. The effect of that is we go toward the sun, we go away from the sun. We go toward the sun, we go away from the sun because of the spinning. Cause, effect. Out of all the choices listed, the only one that uses a transitional word that shows the cause and effect relationship is B, which is why it's the correct choice. So go ahead and do a type 1 practice, making sure that we're using the proper transition word. Make sure as you did the type 1 practice that you're actually checking for the different relationships between those sentences before you make your choice, and add a transitional word from this list to join two sentences together. Go ahead and get working.